And for me, religion is the same as school. Okay, religion is the same as school to me. And what I mean by that is that's where you go to learn things, but that's not where you go to apply things, right? Like going to church didn't increase my spirit stat. Uh, Searching for peace did. Actually applying these things did. So the reason I treat life like a video game is because it's easier for me to grind and grow and train in a video game. So now I just need to figure out an easy way to have those same applications in my everyday life. So the spirit stat is all about effort, energy, and trying and having the determination and will to keep going. Who said you can't use gaming to encourage people? Who said you can't use gaming to teach people the ways? Not me. Welcome to the new episode of Gems and Gaming. Get ready as we log in to share some life wisdom and put you on game. Let's get it. So, I just recorded this whole thing and I did the video on Twitch. Two things happened. One, the quality of the stream was very, very terrible. And two, I didn't record on an individual, as an individual. Footage, I should say. My face as individual footage. So I lost the entire conversation. And it was really good. Being objective, it was really good. But that's okay. We'll do it again. It's no problem. And I think it's very needed, I would say, or at least this is my opinion, of course. And I guess now that I've done it before, I can be a little bit more, the message can be more refrained and voiced a lot better. But the whole concept is we should treat life like a video game. I know that might sound problematic if you're saying, man, life is too real to be considered as a game. But at least the games that I play, I don't take games, and I don't see the community taking games like as a joke when they play. Like, I feel like they take it super serious. You see people try to be very competitive. You see how popular esports is now. People treat games very seriously. So, if you tell somebody, you should treat life like a video game, for gamers, they can probably start to they can start to wrap their head around it, because they can see that every aspect of life is just a mechanic of a game. All right, and it can be literally anything. Relationships, you got plus. If you take an action, you got +5 relationship or -5 relationship with a particular person. I do it a lot in my house. Like, my wife asked me to do something, I think to myself, if I do it 5 minutes from now, that'd be like +5 relationship. 10 minutes from now, it's +4. After those 10 minutes, it's either +0, and after an hour or after 2 hours, it's like -1. You know what I'm saying? Like, I give myself a time limit like that, and I think of the pros and cons, right? Like, that's just a relationship. Everyone's relationship is different. Not every husband and wife dynamic is like my dynamic. So, other people's pluses and minus is going to be very different. And everyone can kind of gauge it themselves. Everyone plays games their own way. So when I say life is a game, I'm not telling you exactly how to play. I wouldn't dare. I mean, I wouldn't dare. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I don't have the answer, but I can tell you what I've learned through playing this game. And I was making a decent amount of money in tech. I was making 140 grand in tech, And that's what I worked so hard for my entire life. And I was working remote, so it was like the perfect scenario. It was like, why quit? Everything is going well. The reason I was quitting is because since I look at life as a game, I look at almost everything within life as a game within a game. And the game of business is also, a part of life. And the crossover is very close. But to advance super high in one area, sometimes it requires sacrifice from another. And the things that I was sacrificing to advance in the game of business was putting me at a very low state mentally and spiritually in the game of life. So I had to, start a new adventure. So then I'm basically starting New Game Plus. That's how I look at it. It's New Game Plus. So, when if anybody knows and you do New Game Plus, you get the same stats, you get the same like items, or I shouldn't say the same stats. You get the same items, but you lose a lot of stats, right? A lot. So for me, I got to learn this and got to see this up close. And I just got to do field research and learn a little bit more about this game of life once I left the game of business. Where my stats was moving up in the game of business, I saw why I was losing in the game of life. Like, I was losing connections with real people. I was becoming an NPC because I almost got to a point where I didn't want to try anything else. I almost got to a point where I was at was where I was going to be for a very, very long time. And, like I said, when you start to make that type of money and get to that type of spot, it's really, really hard to try something else and start over. Especially when you speak with a lot of people in life and they don't have that. I mean, they feel like they can't get it. They almost don't. They can't comprehend the sacrifice. But when you treat life like the game that it is, and you try to take it serious, if you were to do New Game Plus and do something crazy like I did, that when you make money, like, not having money feels a lot different than not having it did before I made it. And I can't really explain why that was. Maybe it's because I know how much exists. And I know I've seen companies spend money on some of the craziest, pointless things. Well, at least that's what I thought. But here's the thing: every business is the solution to a problem. Every business is a solution to a problem. So when you're playing the game of business, you're trying to solve a problem, and people are spending a lot of money for that. AI is a brand new thing, and it's going to cause a lot of issues. But if we do it right, then it'll solve a lot of problems. So that's why they're spending a lot of money towards AI. Every business is a solution to a problem. Okay. The problems that I felt like I was solving in my job weren't the problems that I felt like needed to be solved within my life. And since the game of business is to obviously solve issues and exchange money for that's what it's become. The game of life is different. It's a little bit different. So if you're a gamer, you can look at things as stats, right? Like, we all have stats, strength, speed, and endurance. We all have stats, but one of those stats that we have is called spirit. And the spirit stat isn't really something that's needed a lot in most businesses. The spirit stat is used a lot more in your actual life, in your actual day-to-day. And when I left my job, I had to practice this and grow this stat. The more I grew this stat, the more I started to just find peace, I should say. All right, and I think that's something that's extremely important in the game of life, is finding peace. I think that's very, very important. And for me, finding peace was For me, finding peace was seeking more of a relationship with God. That was like, let me go ahead and find peace, and then I go and then I run into uh, religious groups, and for me, religion is the same as school. Okay, religion is the same as school to me, and what I mean by that is that's where you go to learn things, but that's not where you go to apply things, right? Like going to church didn't increase my spirit stat. Uh, Searching for peace did. Actually applying these things did. So the reason I treat life like a video game is because it's easier for me to grind and grow and train in a video game. So now I just need to figure out an easy way to have those same applications in my everyday life. So the spirit stat is all about effort, energy, and trying, and having the determination and will to keep going. You know, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'll go ahead and tell you one thing I've learned about being an entrepreneur is it's a lot of work. Number one, just as much as if you were working a job, maybe more until eventually it becomes a lot less. But being an entrepreneur means being yourself, really. And one thing I had to learn in life is that I kind of gave up who I was to move up in the game of business. You know, there's this, I have a lot of influencer clients, and they're some of my favorite clients to have. They are my favorite clients to have, if I'm being honest, because they still have that kid in them. They still are who they are. Like they haven't given up many aspects of their life yet, because they still feel like who they are is going to make them successful, and they're right. The only issue is they have very little business etiquette. Corporate clients are really also fun for me because they have that business etiquette that my career clients do not. And that business etiquette, you know, it goes a very long way in life. But who you are goes further, way further. Because if the game of business didn't exist, if we stopped playing that game today, then the only person you can be is yourself. And that's why influencers I typically have great relationships with, and when they're my clients, is because they have retained themselves. Now, if you work and you're a corporate client, then once I am able to convince you that who you are still is relevant, like once I get to that point, then you start to see like their eyes light up again, and you start to see that fire come back. You know, now they're to me way more dangerous than an influencer because they have that business etiquette. They just have yet to try to apply it on their own. So, you know, take your pick on what you think is more dangerous or not, an influencer or a professional. It really doesn't matter. Both are equally as potentially powerful to me. It's just all about making sure that you look at what it is you're currently doing and how you make sure you get better. That's why I treat life like a game. You know, I'm playing this game right now, Final Fantasy Online. There are stats and there's different armor and there's different resources, so there is a way to get better. But that's the same. It's the same for our everyday life. There is a way to get better. You know, I said this on the Twitch stream. I had a lot of bars on the Twitch stream. The quality just wasn't good. But I said this on the stream, and I truly mean this. You know, I feel like we don't understand, or we underestimate the power of the supercomputer that's in our pocket. You know, I'm for the before times, or the 1900s, as the kids say. And, you know, if you were to tell me or anyone else in that time, back then, that you have a supercomputer in your pocket, people would have a real tough time believing that. Now, if you told people at that time everybody's gonna have it, then people are probably like, oh my God, society must be really good then. Like everyone has the ability to record, the ability to edit, the ability to research right there in their pocket. They must be super intelligent, smart people. Okay? Unfortunately, a lot of us don't understand this beautiful opportunity that we have to be this super intelligent society. You know, but that's because people believe, or people don't believe, that their discoveries matter. They don't really understand it. Right? That's because they've been lied to in this game of life, as we're calling it, and they've been told that they're NPCs. And some people like the lie. Some people would rather be an NPC. Some people get a label and they say, you know, that label is so much easier to maintain than being myself, that I'll just keep being this thing that the world labeled me. Okay? That is unfortunately what happens to a lot of people. We're kind of told these lies just throughout different parts of life, but it is a lie at the end of the day. In the game of life, if we treat life like a video game, so I'm saying in the game of life, you don't get a choice in the character selection. You don't get a choice in the part of the map that you start the game in. The only choice that you get is what you do with what you have. And if someone is able to label you and say you're just a lazy person, so now you choose to do lazy things, or you've done lazy things, therefore someone correctly calls you a lazy person, that is where that is a description of what actions you've taken up to this point. That's not an indictment, or that's not a sentence on your life, right? Like that's not oh, I have to do this thing every day because I've been called this thing and I relate to this thing. No, you don't. You just relate to it. You understand it. You know, you've been called X, Y, and Z because you've been doing X, Y, and Z things. But that doesn't matter. Like if you play Skyrim and you start to use magic, and you start to walk around and people are like, hey, what's up, mage? But in reality, it's like, bro, I was just testing out magic. I really don't like it like that. And then you move on and you keep doing what it is that you want. But in life, somebody calls you, fat, and you getting tired of getting tired of people calling you fat. So next time you eat, you just keep eating, like bump it. Like people call me fat anyway, I might as well be fat. Like, wow, like why? Why? You can move on. You have the option to do whatever it is you want with your free will. And treat life like a game. Give yourself some objectives to complete. Like, if you work a job in a video game, you're doing that just to collect the rewards of that job. But you're not doing it and saying this is my life now. I can never move on from this map, or I must play the game this way moving forward and forever. Like, you would never say that, and there'd be no purpose in you saying that, because it's not true. So I try to get people to kind of just look at life like a game like that. You're working that job to receive the rewards that job bring you. But since every job is a solution to a problem, just ask yourself this: am I comfortable trying to solve this problem? Or am I comfortable being in this environment working towards a solution that I don't feel comfortable with? All right? Like, more likely than not, people work at a certain place because they need some rewards, and then life happens. Kids, accident, deaths, anything, man. Life is crazy. And then they stay at that place. And they stay there for 5 years, and they say, when I get my life together, I'm going to move on to the next map. and then 7 years, and then 10, and then 12. And then that's why my job as a career coach is extremely important, because then they are standing in front of me after 15 years. And then I start to challenge them. Not challenge them like you need to do something in life, but challenge them to think about the question themselves. Like, do you need to make a change? And then they sit there and they start to think, and then they give me excuses, usually like, no, I'm here because of this, I'm here because of that. In the first probably 10 minutes is them probably trying to convince me of why they are where they are. And here's the thing. My job, the way I challenge people, isn't to give them the answer. It's just to plant the seed. And then help them water that seed if they need help. Eventually they say, you know, as I say this, I think this conversation is right on time, because I need to make a change. And I don't normally have to tell people that. In fact, as a career coach, you never should. You know, as a coach, you should never influence someone to do something for your benefit or a decision that you would make. Every decision has to come internally, otherwise you didn't really help them at all. You know, you just did what other people do to NPCs. You go through the code and you say, hey, NPC, instead of doing this, do that. That's not helpful. And if you want to be an NPC, you can't do what other people tell you to do and not give it any thought or decide on your own as if that's what you want to do. Right? We think because our current situation, like money or health or whatever, we think our current situation is what dictates the actions that we're allowed to take. You know, free will is free all the time, and it's free, but the decisions that you take from it is costly. Even answering to other people is costly. If you think my words matter to you and you listen to it and you try to explore on your own using your free will, just know it might cost you. Like, you just never know. You just really never know. I could be telling you the right thing. I pray to God that I am. But it might not be, this particular message might not be for you, right? And these are just things I had to learn in life. Some things in life are distractions. And when you look at life like a video game, then it's easy to say, hey, is this the goal that I'm trying to complete? If the answer is no, then this is the distraction. This is not where I need to be going. And you know that in games, like when you're playing, some things are just meant to keep you distracted. You know it, right? So make sure that, at least this is what I do, if you were to look at life like a game, make sure you give yourself targeted things to do. Like, give yourself actions that you can complete. You know, do not, I repeat, do not pretend that, or don't fall for the lie that your life has no meaning. Okay? The only way your life has no meaning is if you say, I am an NPC. I like having the code written for me, and etc., etc. You might think you do until the developer that is writing your code becomes evil. But you know what? As I say that, that's what I think they mean by having multiple gods, because you were given free will. So if you let somebody come in and rewrite your code, that person kind of becomes a god to you, right? Like, they're doing something that they should not be allowed to do, and that is control you. And no one should be allowed to do that. And if you treat life like a game, then you will decide to play the game of life your way, as you should. It's your game. It's okay to read guides online. It's okay to seek help. But it's your game at the end of the day, and you only get to play it once. So why keep passing the controller from person to person, letting them dictate your actions? No, like, bro, pick up the sticks and do something. If you feel like a change is needed, then you have everything you need to find out if you can make that change. And that is to pick up the controller and just start moving, start doing, start creating, start teaching, start writing, start reading, start learning, start getting better. There's nothing else that's going to bring you peace. Nothing. You have to bring yourself that peace. As I say this, I have a lot of religious people that comment on my YouTube videos, which I'm not mad at. I'm happy with. I think they have a similar issue that my clients have. They've been told something that they've been forced to believe, and it bothers me. They've been forced to believe. Not all religious and not all religious people, but they've been forced to believe that you should just power through and grit your teeth and get through the suffering. Like, eventually life will change. And it bothers me because where they know the source, they just refuse to use it as a resource. Right? Like, they know God exists, but they let other people write their code for them. And I don't understand it. And look, instant karma for talking smack. I died instantly. So anyway, yeah, let me not judge. I might not even include that. No, I'll include it. I'm flawed. I'm not perfect. But, I just say this to say that where I think God is real, and I think He is rooting for your success, I think He needs you to actually play, though. Like, He doesn't need you to sit around and wait for the perfect moment or grit through the like if He has a mission, and let's just say the game of life is to solve God's problem, like that's what the game is, how can He use you if you are letting other people write your code? Right? He gave you the free will, but maybe He gave you that free will to see if He'll let Him write your code. And if you say nah, because I don't trust it, then okay. Then let other people write your code then. Alright, my camera's getting hot. We're gonna win this. Listen, if we treat life like a game, I believe it's a game that we can win. So let's go ahead and win, man. Because y'all take it easy. Hey, I'll continue this series too, because I like it. And it was better on Twitch, but this will be good for YouTube. Look, y'all take it easy. God bless.